For the last months, President Zelensky was talking about that Ukraine will take back all of its territories, including Crimea. But until recently, this was just plain words and hopes. And today, the Major General of Ukraine, Dmytro Marchenko, has confirmed that the bridge that connects Russia and Crimea is the #1 target for Ukrainian army. Why this bridge is so important? What makes Ukrainians be so confident in the success of their counteroffensive? And will they actually be able to take back Crimea? And these are the questions that we'll be talking about in today's video. What's up, investors? Ulrich Schnell and people of Reddit. It's the Russian Dude, and this is your daily update on Russian-Ukrainian war as of Wednesday, June 15th. You can see the main events of the day to my right, along with the timestamps. Alright people, this finally happened. Today we have the official confirmation by the Major General of Ukrainian Army, Dmytro Marchenko, is that Ukraine will be retaking back Crimea. In his statement, Dmytro Marchenko mentioned that it is 100% that Ukraine will attack the bridge between Crimea and Russia, and it is just a matter of time. This bridge, as you can see on this very map, is the only land road between the territory of Russia and Crimean Peninsula. It has been opened in 2018 and it was used by both tourist and Russian military vehicles recently. But besides that, this bridge is the symbol that Russia took Crimea. And so yes, as mentioned previously, as soon as the war has started, Russia has been using this bridge to bring its reinforcements to the south of Ukraine, which basically means that the destruction of this bridge will stop the supply of Russian military vehicles, and this will destroy this symbol. Dmytro Marchenko also mentioned that this bridge is in the range of high mobility artillery rocket systems called HIMARS, and at this very moment Ukraine is training how to use them, which only confirms that the destruction of this bridge is just a matter of time. And so the main reason why Ukraine is so confident that they will be able to liberate the south and especially the Crimean Peninsula, it is because the number of Russian forces in this region has decreased significantly. Because if you remember from my previous episodes, at this very moment Russia is relocating its southern forces to the east of Ukraine. And the reason why they are doing this, it is because capturing the east is the top priority at this very moment. And because of this, the main battle in the south of the country will be the battle for the city of Kherson, which at this very moment is still under the control of Russian forces. But Ukraine has been doing recently many successful counterattacks against this city. And it has also been recently reported that Ukrainian forces were able to destroy the military warehouse of Russian forces in the city of Novokakhovka, which basically means that military supplies of Russian forces in this region are now limited. And the same Major General Dmytro Marchenko says that even though it is good to be optimistic, the liberation of the city of Kherson will be a complicated task. His main reason for this statement, it is because Russia realizes that it is slowly losing the south. That is why they significantly reinforced the city, which also means that they planted lots of mines around this area, which will make the advancement of Ukrainians to be very complicated. But nevertheless, according to yesterday information, at this very moment Ukrainians are only 10 kilometers away from the city of Kherson. And now here is your quick update about the situation in the east of the country. According to the British intelligence, at this very moment Russia captured almost the entire city of Severodonetsk. And the only territory which is still under the control of Ukrainians is the territory of Azot factory, which basically creates the similar situation as the situation in Azovstal factory in Mariupol. And the main strategy that Russia is doing at this very moment is basically to bomb the entire city. As mentioned previously, Russia has destroyed all the 3 bridges in Severodonetsk, which basically means that it will be almost impossible for Ukraine to get reinforcements, and right now all these Ukrainian soldiers who remain in the city are basically trapped. Another direction of this battle still remains the same. Russia tries to send reinforcements from the city of Izium, but still the main Russian forces come from the north of this city and some of them come from the south. Now to the good news. At this very moment Ukrainian forces are successfully resisting the majority of these attacks. And in addition to that, Ukrainian soldiers are getting closer to the city of Izium, which basically means in case they are able to shut down their city, there will be no more reinforcements from Russia from the west. And finally, Russia resumed its offensive to the northeast of the city of Kharkov, which if you remember previously, Ukrainian forces were able to completely defend the city of Kharkov and even push Russians away from its territory. Welcome to another episode of ridiculous Russian propaganda, and today we have this grocery store in Russia where they put the posters of Western politics on the bottom of shopping carts. So the idea behind this big brain marketing trick is so that Russians will buy as many groceries as possible so they don't need to see these faces of Western politicians. And another idea is that people will be sharing these videos on social medias so that people from the West will see that there is no deficit for goods and food in Russia. And basically, yes, these posters are not attached to the bottoms of the shopping carts, which means that people can take them home. And after that, you can only imagine what these people will be doing with these posters. And by the way, if you like this style of daily news reporting, feel free to like this video and subscribe to my channel. Also, please make sure to check the link in the description if you wish to support Ukraine with us. You will get additional content and all the proceeds will be donated to Ukraine at the end of each month. Thanks so much, and let's continue. Okay, so if you remember, one of the biggest problems that I was talking about in my previous video is that Ukraine does not have enough Western weapons to protect itself. And specifically in these infographics, you can see how many military vehicles Ukraine has requested and how many of them were either delivered or promised. And as you can see, Western countries have already pledged approximately 50% of the tanks that Ukraine requested and about a quarter of howitzers. But so far, as for now, Ukraine has been only pledged approximately 15% of multiple rocket launch systems. And once again, these are the weapons that have only been pledged to Ukraine, which basically means that some of them are already delivered and some of them are just on their way. But nevertheless, Ukraine is maximizing whatever it has and utilizing resources very properly. And because of this, it allows Ukrainian army to protect its territories as it is right now. But today, Ukraine has received a very good news which came from Rammstein-3 Defense Meeting in Brussels, Belgium. During this meeting specifically, the Secretary of Defense of the United States, Lloyd Austin, mentioned that countries need to increase its military support to Ukraine. And in addition to that, the White House announced another $1 billion military support to Ukraine. And this $1 billion support package includes howitzers, ammunition, vehicles, and other military equipment. And it is estimated that these supplies will start coming to Ukraine somewhere this August. And if you thought that this was not enough, today also the General Secretary of NATO, Jens Stoltenberg, also announced that the alliance will be sending heavy weapons and long-distance artillery to Ukraine. And I know that the main reason why these Western countries finally started increasing its support to Ukraine, it's not because of my yesterday's video, but if it was just one of you who was speaking to these higher government representatives and delivered our message, I just thank you so much. Today, some few independent researchers gave us a few facts how the life in the city of Mariupol is at this very moment. And unfortunately, even though Russia claims that they liberated this city from Ukrainian Nazis, the picture is far from perfect. At this very moment, the water and food supply is very limited, and you can only receive food if you have these food stamps. There is also no communication systems working at this very moment in Mariupol, and almost every single neighborhood is full of posters about missing people. And the worst thing about this is that there are so many dead people on the streets that they are just being literally buried anywhere they can find empty spot. And since some of these bodies have been laying around for days under direct sun, there is a big chance of cholera pandemic in the city. Almost every residential building is destroyed. That is why people are living on the streets, cook food over the fire, and they collect rainwater, which basically gives you a very good understanding what Russian liberation from Ukrainian Nazis will look like for every single Ukrainian city. And guess what? The top priority for Russian government in the city of Mariupol at this very moment is to replace all the Ukrainian billboards and signs. According to Foreign Policy American magazine, these are the reasons why Russia does not want to end this special military operation, why it's lying, and why they want to extend it. One of the first and the main reasons why Russia cannot accomplish its goals, it is because the morale of Ukrainian soldiers are so much higher. In addition to that, Ukrainian forces are utilizing its limited resources much effectively than Russia. In addition to that, Russia has lost the majority of its modern weapons during the first stages of the war. And that is why Russia wants to prolong this war at this very moment as much as possible so that they can exhaust the Ukrainian resources. And the reason why Russia thinks they can do it is because Russia potentially has many more soldiers. Which means that, and you already know it, is that Russia is not afraid to send as many people to meet the goals at all costs. And in response to that, Nikolai Patrushev, who is the potential successor of Putin, said that these are Western countries who prolong this war. He says that the reason why this war is going for so long, it is because Western countries constantly infuse Ukraine with new weapons. And I guess what he really means here is that in case there is not so many Western weapons that Ukraine has at this very moment, Russia will just crush Ukraine within the first couple of weeks. According to CNN, which is referring to the intelligence data that they receive from the United States of America, these are the three potential ways how this war can end. First of all, and the most probable outcome, is that Russia will continue slowly advancing in Ukraine. And the reason why they will be able to continue doing this, it is because they have superiority in manpower and weapon power at this very moment. But the time is of the essence, and as soon as Ukraine can get weapons from the Western countries, the situation will change. The second potential outcome is that this war will stall for months or probably even years. And because of this, the losses from both sides will be incredibly high. And in addition to that, the world economy will take a huge hit. And the third potential outcome is that Vladimir Putin will try to announce some kind of victory to its citizens so they can end the war in the nearest future. And the reason why this scenario might potentially happen, it is because most likely Russia understands that as soon as Ukraine gets all these weapons, the situation will change. And because of this, they need to end this war as soon as possible. Here is just another confirmation that the hidden mobilization in Russia is still going on at this very moment. Because what I'm talking about here is this advertisement where the potential employer is looking for builders, carpenters, painters and all this kind of work. With only one catch, that the work location is going to be in the cities of Donetsk and Luhansk. We already know how severe is the situation, for example, in the city of Severodonetsk at this very moment. And I cannot imagine that they're actually recruiting someone to start rebuilding the city in the middle of the literate war. Which basically means that most likely this advertisement is just another trick to mobilize more people into the Russian army. Thank you so much for your attention. Check the link in the description, stay safe and see you tomorrow.